Welcome to ISRA League's Grand Touring Championship, brought to you by Z1 Simwheel. This is Race 7, the Empire State Enduro. I'm Daniel Quaroni, and joining me in the announcing booth is Anthony Muniz.
Great to be here, Dan.
And Brian Carey.
Great to be here.
Let's take a look at the points as we left them after Suzuka. Mark Payne takes the lead from David Serrois with 120, David trailing just by 10 points. Chris Dameron Jr., 31 points down after his fourth at Suzuka. In GT1, Timothy Stoll leads with a commanding 138 points. Gilles Moret is in second with 30-point deficit there, and Marty Jeffries in third, 48 points down. In GT2, James Cullen leads with 122 points, but Tard Carver trails just by 2 points, so very close battle there. Anything can happen. Wyatt Foster is still in third, 30 points down from the lead, and Mike Young and Matthew Voigt trail at fourth and fifth behind. Brian, let's have it for the map.
All right, we're at the Watkins Glen boot configuration. 3.4 miles, 5.47 kilometers, and 11 turns. First corner, known as the 90, brings you down to the S's. The S's are easy flat for the LMPs, not quite as easy for the GTs and the Corvettes. Down the back straightaway into the inner loop, also known as the bus stop chicane. Coming out of that into turn 5, known as the outer loop, which brings us into the boot section, starting with turn 6, down the chute into turn 7, which is actually the toe, towards turn 8, known as the heel, around turn 9, turn 10, and finally the right-hander, turn 11, bringing us back onto the front straightaway.
And of course, Watkins Glen has all this Armco real close to the track on both sides, so very dangerous in the event that you lose it. Well, let's quickly take a round through the qualifying, and to start us off, let's watch the pole lap. Brian sets up for his run down the front straight, looking almost conservative through the last turn, but still keeping it nice and in line. Crosses the start-finish there, heads down towards turn 1, slight braking into turn 1, then early on the gas, keeps it going up the hill. He saw it just touched the rumble strip there, didn't go on the flat section, so he got the advantage of the embankment. Easy up the S's in the LMP here. There's no challenge there whatsoever. And down the second straight, heading towards the bus stop. Just a lift to enter the bus stop, and he's through, back on the gas. You see traffic ahead. Matthew Voigt keeping nice and wide, giving Brian plenty of room. Gets through into the chute. Looks actually almost, well, you know what? He kissed that apex just perfectly. Got on the gas maybe a little early, but kept it going. And scrubs off a little bit of speed as he goes through the right-hander at the toe of the boot. But you saw he kept it right on the cement section. Perfect line through there. Braking, and once again keeping it right on the cement section. Tracking out and on the gas. Looking a little bit wide, though, as he exits the boot. You can see he didn't quite keep it onto the cement right there, so possibly could have eked another 10th out there. Flat out through the second to last turn, once again in the LMP. And back onto the front straight. There we go. That's a little bit more aggressive. Getting a tiny bit of draft off a GT. And across the start-finish. And with the pole lap out of the way, let's take a look at the rest of the standings as we start the race.
Okay, well, Dan, for LMP1, as we just saw, Brian Carey ran a great 129.5 lap to give him the pole. Chris Dameron Jr. was just behind him with a 129.8. David Serrois, Jeremy Burris, and Mike Kelly rounded out the top 5. Ryan Corns, John Kuzlin, Chuck Chambliss, Daniel Quaroni, and Jerry Morsdorf is the top 10.
And in GT1, Timothy Stoll takes a nice pole at 142.5. Don Hunter is second at 142.9. Then second row, we've got Clint Vigas and John Middleton, Julio Palacio and Sean Cuthbertson in the third. Marty Jeffries and Colin McLean, Evgeny Garanin and Gilles Moret. Then Ryan Huff and Mike Taylor, and Gerald Livingston and John Kelly. And finally, Stephen Clark rounding out the GT1s.
And for the 4 GTs, we have Todd Carver at pole position at 1 minute 47.2. James Cullen joining him on the front row. James Mines, Mike Young, and Daniel Gralty round out the top 5. Then Andy Gooderson, Luke Poulin, Trevor Hill, Matthew Voigt, and Clark Reed round out the top 10.
Well, we watch the field exit the boot here and get ready to take the green flag.
Yep, we are coming in waiting for the pace car to come off the track right now, and all the fields are bunching up into their respective classes and 2 turns away from the green flag.
And Brian Carey there leading the way. We've got an hour 45 on the clock. Pace car will just be heading into the pits in a moment. There it goes. And the LMPs are off. Brian Carey leading the field. Chris Damron Jr. is sliding in. Oh, can't quite slide in. Jeremy Boris is almost on him.
So it looks like the LMPs have got away cleanly, running up through the S's right now. Looks like the vets should be taking the start right now, as you can come on board with Marty Jeffries sitting in 7th place, battling for position on the outside of Evgeny Guerin.
And I think Evgeny just took 7th from him as we head up through the S's.
As we come down to the inner loop, bus stop chicane, coming another view of Gerald Livingston coming down the back straightaway there, heading into the bus stop. Battling hard right now with, I'm sorry, I can't catch the number on that one, and giving way a little bit, and gingerly entry into the bus stop, letting a few cars past him there. Coming out, looks like everyone's got through cleanly so far. Vets heading through the outer loop, GTs hot on their tail.
That's right, and we're looking at 3rd, 4th, and 5th at the moment. That's James Mines and Daniel Gralty, and now jumping on board with Ryan Huff as we head through the boot. He's in 11th and trailing behind Gilles Moret, gets a great exit and is now side by side with Gilles.
This can be a tough down, hard braking down into the toe of the boot. Or the heel of the boot, I apologize, and heading back uphill. We're with Daniel Quarry right now, heading through the final corner right on, it looks like Chuck Chambliss in the LMP. Not close enough now, just basically slotting into single file. We got an hour 43 minutes left of this Enduro race, so everyone's just trying to find the groove at this point.
And back with John Middleton and Clint Vigas as they head down the front straight. And also, don't expect to see a move to pass there, nope, but just keeping it nice and clean as they head through the first turn. And it looks like John Middleton gained a little bit and will be heading up through the S's. Hopefully he can make something happen before the boot.
All right, we have Lance Snyder and Tim McLeish here battling in the LMP. We'll just take a quick moment to run down the top 5 in each class, which LMP, we have Brian Carey, Chris Damron, David Sirois, Jeremy Burris, Ryan Corns, the CR6 Corvette, Tim Stahl, Don Hunter, Clint Vigas, John Middleton, and Julio Blasio, and the 4 GTs of Todd Carver, James Cullen, James Mines, Daniel Gralty, and Mike Young.
And with Daniel Gralty and Mike and James Mines, we had Daniel looking for a way to get by there on the straight, but not able to find anything before he got to the bus stop and just slotted in along behind James, opting to keep it clean here. Wise move on his part.
If you guys, this track is used primarily for sports cars. This track is mostly actually used, it's a NASCAR track, and they do not use the boot configuration, which they're entering right now. Normally the cars will bear right there and head back for the rest of the track, but this boot adds a nice element of, technical element, I guess, to the track, and extends it by quite a distance. But we have a very, very close battle with Clint going through the boot there. Now we're back with Daniel Corney in the LMP, chasing Chuck Chambliss.
And
Chuck
it looks
went
like wide there.
Yep, it looks like Chuck has conceded the position to Daniel, but we're going to have to wait to see. Yes, it looks like Daniel's been able to pull in front. Let's see if Chuck can redraft down the straightaway heading into the inner loop.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned the boot configuration. We'll actually be back here again later in the season in the Cup configuration.
As you can see, going through the inner loop there in the LMP, you are absolutely flying through that corner, coming and approaching at about 260 kilometers an hour, 155 miles an hour. Oh, and Chuck Chambliss to the outside going into the... Can he make it stick? No. not quite. Wow, this is some hard racing early on.
Yeah, we saw Chuck do a little bit of a wobble going into turn 6, and that allowed Dan to get by for sure on the inside. Changing now to John Middleton, still battling with Clint Vigas for that third place rather, as they head down now into the carousel.
Yeah, next time you go on the Corvettes are going through the inner loop. Oh, looks like we have a good shot of it going right now. Notice the speed difference. Oh, it looks like we have a car off. I'm not sure who that is in front of Stephen Clark.
That was John Kelly right there, who missed the boot entrance.
Okay, well, going through there, visibly slower than the LMPs. LMPs, big choke point for the LMPs when they're catching traffic because they're going through there so much faster than the other classes.
And on board with Andy Gooderson, he's holding awfully wide, which I think means that he's got Luke Poulin, just to his right. And Luke makes the pass, but he's on the outside and is able to get ahead and braking. Oh!
Wow!
Oh, he's off. Oh no, hopefully does he collect anyone? No, looks like it's good so far.
Not only that, but it looks like he kept it off the Armco, so I think Andy's good to go for the rest of the race.
And it looks like we have Chuck Chambliss right on the tail of Jerry Mooresdorf right now, heading down towards the inner loop. Let's see how this comes off. He looks like he's got a shot to put his nose in there, but poking your nose in there isn't enough to make a clean pass. So it looks like Chuck will just stick behind him and follow him through.
And in fact, going down, just approaching the bus stop, the LMPs are going to be pretty much at the... Oh!
Wow.
And and
coming
James
off
Mines,
the boot.
Yeah, and who was that? Was that James Mines? I think that was Daniel Giralty, who was behind James Mines, didn't see the Corvette off there and just tagged him.
Yeah, that is a blind. That is a very tough corner to see, especially if you're right on the tail of him. And I think it's just he couldn't see that there was a Corvette spun sideways there, and that caused him to get into the back of James Mines.
And that brings out the double yellow flag, full course caution. So cars are going to continue going at full speed until they reach the pace car, and then they will bunch up. And pit will open, and we'll see who takes a pit stop this early in the race. I don't expect too many cars to, unless they've taken damage.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how that started. There was definitely a Corvette sideways across the track. Unfortunately, we didn't catch it with our cameras. Maybe we'll catch something like that in a replay at a later point if we're able to do that. But if not, then looks like we're just going to reform behind the pace car and hopefully have another crack at this to get this going again.
So we'll take you there in just a moment.
All right, we're back now, getting ready for the restart. The Corvettes we are mixed by class right now, so everyone's going to be starting from their relative position to the leader. We're bunching back up now. The leaders are coming up towards the heel of the boot and getting ready to reform for the restart.
Something I just want to point out, guys, Chuck Chambliss during this caution experienced some sort of equipment problem with his throttle, and so he had to pit to try and fix that, and due to that, he's lost a lap on the leader, so he's going to have to try. He is back in the race, so he's going to have to try and gain that position that he lost back.
This type of racing, any sort of not only mechanical problems, but a lot more electrical problems than you'd be used to normally in most classes of racing.
Yep, well, we've still got an hour and 32 minutes left to go as the leaders head onto the front straight as the safety car pulls off into the pits, and we are going back green.
And you can see there Ryan checking up a little bit, unsure about how the start is going. Mike Kelly right next to him on the inside.
Looks like David Serrois got off very slowly there, and everyone's checking up behind them. Big bunch up with Daniel Corney and John Kuzlin, Ryan Corns, and Mike Kelly all right together with the Team Whoop-Ass Racers going side by side through the S's.
Yeah, that yellow flag definitely bunched up the classes, the top cars here. Oh, and Corns.
Wow.
Almost into the back of Kelly there.
That's a very, very tough section. It looks like Kuzlin got past him, and Corney too around the outside. Yep. Looks like it's a very tough section to get through because you've got so much speed, and you have to make that stick. You have to make it clean, otherwise it won't come off. Oh, we got Lance Schneider and Tim McLeish towards the back there. I think they're in 11th and 12th, but yes, 11th and 12th.
Yeah, what happened to Ryan there was that he was on the outside and let John Kuzlin by and lost a little bit of momentum on the entry, and that's when Corney got by as well.
All right, we're back with the leaders now. Brian Carey, Chris Damron right on his tail. He is pushing really hard. And, oh, it looks like there's almost a little bit of contact there. He's pushed him out to the outside, and he's taking the lead.
It was a pretty nice pass there, as you said, very close to contact, maybe a little bit of contact, but overall a pretty decent pass. It seemed he had the momentum.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say there was contact there. Not that I have any inside knowledge of that area. But they're slotting back into position, heading down into the front straight. We've got Chris Damron now, the new leader, Brian Carey, David Sirah right in his tail with Jeremy Burris not too far behind.
And a battle there between teammates of Brent Briles and Jerry Morsdorf.
Brent with the yellow accents on his car, Jerry with the red ones for the fans out there trying to make the difference. Also, of course, one says Brent and one says Jerry on the side pod, if you can read them as they're going past the 260 kilometers an hour.
Yep, just in case you couldn't tell them apart any other way. Looks like Brent had a little bit slower run going through the bus stop there, allowed Jerry to put a little bit of space in between them as they go down into the boot. Now taking a look at Ryan Huff as they go down into the bus stop, he is battling for 6th place. Wow, and he takes a lot of speed and he gets it wrong coming out of the bus stop.
Wow, it off the wall, but what a jump!
That was quite a save. I'm sure that gave Gilles Moret in that monster GT1 car quite a scare. So really, that could have ended up a lot worse.
I'm hoping for the guy that's responsible for cleaning his driver's suit that you went to the washroom before the race.
So that will elevate Evgeny Guerrero, and as you can see, coming out of turn 7, he gets a little bit loose, loses time on 3rd place Clint Vigas. And he has, which Ford GT, or I missed who that was. But this is the battle between Ryan Corns and Daniel Quaroni for 7th place. Corns on the inside going into turn 1. I'm not sure if he'll be able to make it stick. Ooh, didn't quite have the speed. Quaroni able to hold him off, taking that wide extra runoff in turn 1. And so that'll... Oh, and we're going to switch now to Daniel Gralty, who's currently fighting for 2nd place.
And James Cullen just ahead of him.
That's one thing you'll notice a game between the classes. The LMPs can take a lot of different lines, especially through turn 1. Very, very wide corner, lots of runoff. Oh, slow Corvette on the inside. I'm not sure who that is, but it looks like he's pitting due to damage.
Yep.
Looks like that could be Stephen Clark. We know that he had that incident earlier, and that could be the result of that right
Colin
there.
McLean, John Middleton going side by side with Daniel Gralty on the outside. Daniel Gralty taking the worst of it.
Oh, McLean and Gralty get together, and Gralty is off the track. Hopefully he didn't take any damage. He looks like he's still going. But back to another Ford GT battle. We've got... sorry, is that Matthew?
Clark Reed in the pink and Matthew Voigt in the yellow. Looks like Matthew Voigt got a great run coming out of turn 1 up into the S's. And Clark Reed is going to fall... Looks like he's going to fall prey to
James Mines.
James Mines, yep, thank you.
And now on board with John Middleton as he chases down Colin McLean. Colin looking to get around some traffic there. James Cullen just ahead of him. And John Middleton looking for a place to go, but there's nowhere, so he just has to put on the brakes. On board with Ryan Corns now down the front straight into turn 1 once again behind Daniel Quaroni. I think the difference in downforce packages being the key here on the straights. Ryan running the high downforce, and you can see Quaroni running medium and taking off a little bit down the straight.
Yeah, one thing with the LMP, the braking distances are so short for those corners, but you consider the regular passing places here at Watkins Glen that you really have to make them stick, especially into the bus stop, turn 1. The defending driver has a great opportunity to take to the outside line and keep his momentum.
Now you can see through the bus stop the difference between the high and the medium downforce.
Corn's going to the outside of Quaroni. Look at this. That, I'm not sure how he was able to pull that off, but that was a keeping your foot in it, and well, Ryan made it stick.
Yeah, I think that could be just a difference between the high and medium downforce there. Corn's able to take more speed going through the bus stop. Yep, through, and that just allowed him to drive around on the outside.
Middleton
this is John
McLean,
Middleton.
and
wow.
They both collecting.
Almost
Todd
a repeat.
Carver comes into that.
But it looks like McLean got out of that relatively unscathed. Pointing forwards, and Carver also kept on going to see if they got any damage worth pitting for.
Yeah, it's really hard to get from these angles here to get an appreciation of the damage on the cars, unless bits are obviously missing, which it didn't look like they were there, but all cars able to drive away from it, in some condition at least.
And back on board with John Middleton, and it looks like he has caught up with Colin McLean. You can see Colin's got some damage there on the rear, right front, and John Middleton getting around, so I think that has impacted Colin's race here. And now looking to the number 3 of Sean Cuthbertson, and Gilles Moret just gets by him on the inside as he goes wide.
That elevates Gilles Moret up to 5th place now. As we look at the battle with Brian Corns, and he's chasing down John Kuzlin and Mike Kelly up in front. Corns thought of making a look to the inside of Kuzlin, didn't quite have it. So they're going to go follow these 3 cars through the boot as they head down towards the heel. You can see Qualroni's not too far behind Corns.
And on board John Kuzlin now, a Ford GT off on the grass, but not going to impact their race here.
That's one thing noticing through the heel of the boot there. Some drivers in the LPs are going, oh, look, there's an incident. Brian Carey, Chris Damron, and looks like James Mines and the Ford GT are all off.
And that's a bummer for James Mines. That's the 2nd time he's been involved in an incident there in turn 9 this race.
And all cars able to crawl away, so it doesn't look
Daniel,
like the yellow
Damron's in the pits.
Yep. And now we are looking at Mike Young and James Cullen, and that's the battle. Well, Mike Young in 2nd, James at the moment in 1st.
So like off camera here, we can see that the mechanics are looking at Chris Damron Jr.'s car, and it looks like they're telling him to get out. It looks like race over for him.
And I'm also looking at John Middleton and Colin McLean, both in the pits at the moment. So despite the fact that John Middleton seemed to have some decent speed to catch up with Colin, obviously feeling some damage there, and so he's getting it looked after now.
All right, Ryan Corns and John Kuzlin battling again. You have Mike Kelly just ahead, and Daniel Coroni just getting by Matthew Voigt in the Dirt Devil. That's Matthew in the Dirt Devil, I assume?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Don't want to get too far into the race calling him Matthew if I don't realize that he is the Dirt Devil, but just to make sure, my notes got a little bit of coffee on them. So Ryan Corns coming on board with him right now,
And
going to the heel of the boot.
getting wide and, just plowing into the Armco there.
Looks like
Visible damage on the right front.
Yeah, he's got some heavy suspension damage there. I would not be surprised if he heads into the pits.
Yeah, well, he's barely got control of the car, as you can see right here. Able just barely to keep it straight. He just got on the power, and the car rotated, and that was that.
And we're looking at the battle now between Ryan Corn still, Qualroni's there, Kuzlin is there. Ryan looking to go on the inside of Kuzlin. He's got the pass on Kuzlin going into turn 1. He's got it on Mike as well. Wow, what a pass. Oh, and Qualroni and Kuzlin get into it on turn 1. They both get sideways.
So in one corner, Ryan Corns goes from 5th to 3rd, and there's an incident between John Kuzlin and Daniel Coroni.
And that's going to be a black flag, a stop and go for Qualroni. And on board now, looking back from Jerry Morsdorf's car to his teammate, Brent Briles. You can see Brent looking for a way left, a way right, but there's nowhere to go. As I said, the car's at the rev limit there, so once they get out of the slipstream, there's just no more headroom.
You can see how easily they get around the Ford GTs. It may look like the Ford GT was damaged, but that was at speed. That's the speed difference you're looking at between these cars in this tight section of the track.
And Jerry, oh, okay, nice move, Jerry. Well done in traffic. Anticipating that the Ford GT there was going to move over to the left to set up for the turn, Jerry pulled off to the right, braked, and waited for the GT to do that, and that caught Brent out a little bit.
That's going to be a major factor. Oh, and this is, I believe that's Clint Vigas in the GT1 Corvette that is off the track there in turn 9.
Faced the wrong direction, but off the track. And James Cullen and Mike Young James somewhere along the line. Oh, no, James was always first, wasn't he? Yes,
Yep.
he was. Okay, yep. So still a tight battle for first there in the Ford GT. And you can see a gaggle of LMPs. Here we are, Brent Wiles and Jerry Mersdorf still battling it out. Brent going very slow into turn one. Probably just didn't want to hit his teammate, but I don't think he had to be quite that cautious.
Looks like he may have just missed his turn-in point there. Oh, and no, there's a number 64 is on the inside of him. That's Daniel Peroni.
So he may have been under pressure there, and that may have been why he broke so slowly.
Now, the one thing I'm noticing right now, too, at this point of the race is because each class is so close, we don't get that field spread that you're not used to at other tracks in this multi-class. So we have tight groups of cars coming up against slower tight groups of cars, and it's really creating a lot of log jams out there.
Yeah, I think that's what really caused that incident between Kuzland and Quaroni in turn one. There was a few other GT cars there. The track was really full of cars, so it's really hard to know where every car is and then make the appropriate pass. Sometimes you just miscalculate or you don't even see a car, and that can cause an incident.
And watching Tim McLeish and Lance Snyder battle it out through the boot. And back here with Daniel Gralti and Andy Gooderson. Andy, if you'll recall, had that little spin, but is back and running at the moment in, fifth? So good recovery from Andy there. And looks like...
Keep in mind, Gralti was recovering from that spin from the incident with Colin McLean, so...
That's a good point. And all the cars real slow, and that's going to be another yellow flag for us.
Not sure the reason for that right now. Cameras haven't caught it just yet, but you can see the pace car up there in the S's, and it looks like the leader, David Syrah, is ready to catch it there. So let's do this yellow here. We'll take a quick rundown of the top five for each class. In the HPD, we now have David Syrah with Jeremy Burris, Ryan Corns, Mike Kelly, and Jerry Morsdorf. In the CR6 Corvette, we have Timothy Stahl in the lead with Don Hunter, Evgeny Guerin, Julio Palacio, and Gilles Moret. Top five there. Ford GT, James Cullen in the lead, Mike Young, Todd Carver, Trevor Hill, and Andy Gooderson rounding out the top five there.
And as the field bunches up behind the pace car, we are going to take another break and leap ahead. So join us in just a moment. Okay, I wrote down 1830. I'm gonna
About ready to take the green flag after that safety car period. Should make a note that a good number of cars have made pit stops during that safety car period, just taking advantage of the slower pace to make those under cautions and save them some time. As we can see, your race leader overall is still David Syrah. Jeremy Burris is right behind him. So this is going to be a great battle. We're interested to see if we can't make a better restart than we saw on the first one. We know that David was a little bit slow on the first one, so let's see if he can't get a better jump off of this one.
One thing we haven't experienced in this series yet this season is the multi-class restart. This is the first time we've seen yellow flags in the race, and not used to having LMPs and 4GTs and Corvettes all mixed into one.
Yeah, that's true. You can see right here, this is a great picture. You've got LMPs here, and then you've got a couple Corvettes, and I think there's a 4GT up there too. So definitely very challenging restarts.
And the field is rounding the last corner.
Safety car pulls off, and we're back under green. Ryan Corns gets a good jump to get around that Corvette. He's back up there with the other top two cars going into turn one. Looks like he takes a little bit of a wide line going through, but gets a nice exit.
Well, he's side by side, I think, with Quaroni there.
Is he? Oh yeah, he's taking a wide line through the S's. Yep, and it looks like Quaroni. Yep, he's going to make the pass going through. That could be just that medium downforce at work. We've seen that before. Looking now at Evgeny Guerin, he is currently running in third place. So you can see there's a bunch of traffic up there that they're going to have to negotiate their way through.
Yeah, we're really going to have to wait a lap or so to let this all
Oh,
settle
there's an
up.
incident
Oh,
there. That's
no,
Andy
that's high
Gooderson.
speed.
And back into the Armco real hard, and Evgeny pulling around the bus stop. Doesn't look like he took any damage, really. Just gave Evgeny that shove.
Yeah, there was so much going on there. I didn't know exactly how that started, but it looked like Evgeny got into the back of Andy under braking there.
I think it was just a pile-up, under braking.
Yeah, there were so many cars trying to get their way through that bus stop. It's really just, I'm surprised we haven't seen that more often, because with that, especially with the restart, and you can see there's a jumble of cars here too as we're on board with Don Hunter trying to fight his way through. He's currently in second place, and I believe that is Timothy Stoll right in front of him.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a very damaged Luke Poulin limping around with a drivable car, but a not very fast Ford GT.
And you can see in the rear view, Mike Kelly right behind John, and Ryan Corns making around Daniel Quaroni for the last turn, and Daniel into the pits to serve that black flag.
Yeah, you're not allowed to serve black flags during the caution period, so Daniel unfortunately having to wait until the race went green again, and unfortunately he's going to lose a lot of time because the entire field will come past.
Yep, should stay on the lead lap, but he's going to have to fight his way through all of the GT cars and then the LMPs to get his way back up. And this is Jeremy Burris on the inside of David Serwa. Jeremy didn't quite have it going into the bus stop, but a great look on the inside.
And
now you can see the backup here. Oh, man.
Yeah, there hasn't been a whole lot of spread out through the rest of the field. And Brent Griles and Jerry Morsdorf still battling it out there in the midst of a bunch of Ford GTs and Corvettes. Chuck Chambliss is one lap down and is behind them. And now you can see Tim McLeish, Lance Snyder, and Brian Carey. Sorry, that's actually Lance Snyder and Tim McLeish and Brian Carey. And another incident, or perhaps just a lockup. Oh!
And that is Luke Poulin. Yeah, he's...
And it's not clear if he got help there or if just made a mistake, but that was more damage piled onto his car.
And the one thing I'm noticing here is Lance Snyder, I know, is a lot faster than these two cars ahead, but we've had a couple Corvettes and Ford GTs running side by side for almost 3 corners now, and I mean, there's nothing you can do when you're a faster car trying to get past those things.
And that was a great move there by Brian Carey to sneak his way in between Lance Snyder and Tim McLeish there as they try and get their way through traffic. And that looks like Daniel Qualroni just behind them after serving his black flag. So this is all battle for position, albeit at the back of the field, but this is some great action.
And Lance not quite going to the inside there. Can't see the number to see if that's Ryan Huffle or Marty Jeffries. Brian Carey now on board. Snyder getting held up behind the Corvette through the turns. Finally getting around on the inside. Carey also getting on the inside. And McLeish getting past. That's the 17th? No, sorry, that's 47, which must mean it's Marty Jeffries. And Quaroni getting by on the right before turn 1.
It's a good outbraking maneuver.
That looked like an out-rocket maneuver. Quaroni had a huge run on him there.
Yeah, I think the other cars, all 3 cars, starting with Lance, got slowed down heading onto the front straight because of that, because they were waiting for Marty Jeffries. And
Ronnie challenging on the inside. Sorry, Dan. Oh, and is he going to hold on? Yeah, he's going to hold on going into the carousel. So that was a good move by Quilroni to take the inside of the bus stop to get around Brian Carey. Brian Carey looking to try and challenge his way back, but there's not enough room with that Corvette. But that was a great move, and looks like that is the GT2 class leader. They have to negotiate their way around. Carey trying. Oh, he makes it 3 wide going into the toe. This is some great action here.
Yeah, that move through the bus stop there, not to be biased or anything, but it takes a couple of good drivers to be able to pull that off and everyone to stay on the track.
And Quaroni on the inside of Snyder gets by without any trouble. Snyder basically letting him by. Brian Carey also getting by Snyder. And now we're checking out, that looks like, yep, that's Timothy Stoll, and Don Hunter is in the yellow car, just a little bit behind him.
Yeah, even with all the traffic that we've seen, these two guys have been battling out for pretty much the entire race. They've managed to stick with it despite the traffic. So,
and we've got another yellow full course caution, and so the cars will be racing at full pace to catch up with the pace car and the rest of the pack, but then obviously taking some slow laps around.
You know, these safety car periods probably not going to be doing much for the drivers. It's not allowing them to get into a rhythm and just turn off laps. We still got a long way to go in this race, and we've already had 3 safety car periods. So probably definitely messing with these guys' strategy quite a bit.
Yeah, I know from the LMP perspective, I know that they are looking, it was extremely marginal on a green flag race for them to go for 2 stops this race. So basically these yellow flag periods here have really brought them into a 2-stop strategy, and this third yellow flag situation has really brought them into a strategy where now they're going to have to figure out how much fuel they need to get to the end after that second stop.
Yeah, a completely unexpected fuel calculation there, but they have to do somewhere along the line of running around the track, since we don't have any engineers in the paddock helping us out.
But I see that iRacing is going to be adding spotters, so it could be a way to incorporate engineers now, so that might be an interesting feature.
We've caught up with the pace car. Let's jump ahead, and we'll take you back when we get close to green. All right.
Yeah, I know that makes a difference. All right, we are back now, getting ready for the restart. Shake-up of the field now because of that earlier caution flag. We have Brent Briles in the lead, Jerry Morsdorf in second, Brian Carey, after suffering the damage in that crash at the around lap 10, is in third. Lance Snyder, Tim McLeish rounding out the top 5. Corvettes, Tim Stahl, Don Hunter, Julio Palacio, Sean Cuthbertson, and Gilles Moret in the top 5, and then the Ford GT of Mike Young, James Cullen, Todd Carver, Daniel Grolty, and Matthew Voigt rounding out the top 5. However, they will all be mixed together for another wild restart as we're getting ready to go green.
Yeah, a fair number of the LMPs in the top runners took a pit stop there.
Yep, that's why we see Brent and Jerry up in the front. They inherited it, so they do owe us a pit stop still, but it'll be interesting to see how those strategies play out.
Just doing some quick calculations in the booth here. It looks like drivers like Brent and Jerry and Brian, maybe even Lance and Tim, can get to the end on one more stop if they catch a couple more laps of yellow.
Car's coming around to the front straight, and it's green flag with Jerry Morsdorf, Brent Briles, and let's see, Chuck Chambliss all in front. On board with Daniel Quaroni going through turn 1 behind Jeremy Burris, actually behind David Schwab, Jeremy Burris, and Ryan Corns. So that pack of LMPs still together. And Tim McLeish over on the side of the track, he had a little trouble with Lance Snyder. There was some unexpected braking there and a little bit of damage.
This one's going to be a tough one to judge because we've got some Corvettes up in the front. We've got David Serwa in the lead, Jeremy going to the outside. Not really trying to make a pass and just following in behind, but this is going to be quite the bottleneck for the LMPs battling for first position. Well, sorry, shouldn't say first position, effectively first position, because they're the ones that have made the pit stop. The guys up front have not.
Yep, we're looking at Mike Kelly now. He's going on the driver's right of Lance Snyder, gets by, and then he's going to go on the outside. I missed who that Corvette was, but he makes a nice outside pass, puts a big amount of space between himself and Snyder as we look now at Daniel Quaroni, who's still fighting for the, well, I guess this is going to turn into the top spot after pit stops cycle through.
Now again, that's assuming that everyone has to make, the guys up front have to make 2 more stops, but that might not be the case, so these guys will have a lot of work to do to catch up.
Oh, yes,
that said,
you're right.
They are nose to tail, and they're up against it right now because there are Corvettes and Ford GTs, more than you can shake a stick at.
Yeah, and patience is the key word here. Everyone doing a really good job of taking the time getting through the traffic, and traffic doing a really good job of making way and giving them some space.
Yes, coming from both sides of this, it's really hard to underestimate the difficulty it is for the LMPs to make these passes and for the other classes to run
Corns
their
and
lines.
Quaroni side by side into turn 1. Quaroni making the pass.
That's for position.
But
Looks like Corns is going to try and battle back.
Yep. Corns had a better exit out of turn 1, but they're single file there through the S's.
Again, I think that's just that medium downforce really helping Quaroni to get that little bit extra straight line speed going down onto the back straight as they head down towards the bus stop. You see Corns trying to battle back. Quaroni gets held up a little bit by that Corvette. That's going to allow Corns to pull back up right onto the back of him.
Yep, but didn't give him any big advantage for momentum going through because Corns also had to check up for the Corvette. And heading up, catching up now with Lance Snyder, who has taken that damage in the incident with Tim McLeish. And Ryan Corns, and they make it 3 wide through the boot.
This is probably the heaviest braking point on the track right now going into the heel. Looks like they're going to Coroni and Corns just slotting into position there, coming up against a Corvette. So aggressive pass attempts are going to have to be muted with safe running through these slower cars.
Yep, and they were coming up on turn 9, and we know we've already seen probably about 3 pretty severe incidents in that corner right there. So that is a dangerous corner. You definitely want to make sure you take your time going through and make sure you exhibit patience.
And David Serwa and Jeremy Burris now getting through turn 1.
No, I can't get into Jeremy's head right now, but I bet you he is pretty tired of looking at the back of that number 19 car right now.
Yep, he's been chasing him for most of the race. They've managed to keep this distance. Looks like Burris has got some good straight line speed using the draft on Serwa. I'm not sure if he's going to have it going into the bus stop. Nope, he's not going to take a look, but he's definitely got the speed. Yep. He just needs to find, maybe take advantage of some traffic and just needs to find that opportunity to get by him.
Yeah. You can see once again that the Burris was topping out on top line speed and just had nowhere to go except to stick right behind Serwa.
I'm not even sure if that was the case because I think he might be catching him up and have some left in the tank, but you kind of count on those situations. To get alongside is one thing, to be able to break them is another, and in that corner there in the LMP there is absolutely no braking. In fact, there's barely any lift. You really have to get alongside to have any chance, and Jeremy Burris just taking the smart route, following him through the inner loop.
Well, yeah, and we've been racing for quite a while, but we still have 55 minutes. You know, that's almost an entire race when we race normally in this series. So there's still a ton of time left for these guys to be able to make these passes. It's kind of felt hectic so far with all the safety car periods that we've had and the intense traffic battles that we've had. But these guys still have plenty of time to make their passes before the end.
Yeah, it's almost not, but at the same time it is very much like a different mindset when you're going into these longer races here. I mean, the start of the race, the red mist comes up and you want to race for a position. You get about halfway through, realize there's a ton of time left, which is kind of the period we're at right now where, okay, well, I've survived this long, I'm okay now. As you can see Jeremy coming up, will he stick his nose in there? It looks like, oh, no, he's going to the outside of him. I stand corrected. I thought he was just going to follow him through there, but looks like he's got a good run.
Burris is going to he did actually manage to pull alongside him that time, and that's a step farther than we've seen before. But doing that, you can see, caused him to lose some time going through the bus stop.
There was a lot of smoke in the bus stop. I'm not sure what happened there, if it was just a car that went off, but there was a lot of smoke coming out through the exit of the bus stop. Did not see anyone in the wall, so hopefully everyone got out of it all right.
And Todd Carver almost outpacing Colin McLean there through turn 1. On board now here with Jeremy Morsdorf, and he is still right behind Brent Briles.
Yep, these guys have stuck together pretty much the entire race. We've seen them battling more mid-pack in the LMP class, and now that they've inherited the lead, they're enjoying some very rare opportunity to drive in clean space. So hopefully they can take advantage of that and put down some consistent, quick lap times.
Yeah, it's one of the main, differences between single-class racing and multi-class is the way you drive a car in clean air between the way you drive it in packs of their cars is a lot different, requires a different approach with regards to setup. You can't make the same... you have to make more compromises when you're in multi-class racing with regards to setup than you do when you're by yourself. So, very, very nice for those guys. Probably don't know what to do with it right now.
And now Trevor Hill chasing down Matthew Voigt. And they have, is that Evgeny or Stoll behind them? That's Evgeny Garanin. And he is patiently waiting, but looking to get past Trevor. And he does it right there at the exit of the boot. Back now with David Serwa and Jeremy Burris.
It looks like Jeremy's decided or by speed, decided to drop back a little bit from David, but until they get to traffic, I don't really think there's going to be anything that Jeremy can do to get around David Serwa. David Serwa has done this for a little while, and he's not an easy one to pass.
Back to the battle between Voigt and Hill. They're headed down the front straight into turn 1. Voigt going a little bit wide, but keeping it on track. Hill probably getting a little bit better exit speed out of there. You can see how they're just battling these cars through the S's. It's not an easy drive the way it is for the LMPs.
Yeah, in our pre-race test at Watkins, I was able to take a Ford GT out to this track here, and first lap out, I stuffed it into the wall coming through the S's, not expecting the grip to go away like that. So they didn't let me drive anymore after that, and they just let me go back to my regular ride after.
On board now with Todd Carver running second behind Mike Young. And I think that was...
Gerald Livingston, possibly? Yeah, I think
that was Gerald Livingston, the Corvette running along on the grass.
I know there's been some yellow flags, but this is another example of the tight racing that we get here at Watkins. We did not see this all the way through in Suzuka, but here at Watkins, this is nose-to-tail action. It really doesn't get a lot better than this when you're talking about going for a class lead pass.
And looks like Young got a little bit wide on the exit to the boot. But it didn't help Carver out too much. He's staying right in where he was. Oh, and closing in a little bit on the last turn onto the front straight. Let's see if we can turn that into anything. Doesn't look like it as they head down to the front straight. And now Matthew Voigt and Trevor Hill also following them onto the front straight. And you can see the still leader of the LMPs, Brent Briles, just behind there. And Hill making the move.
This is a battle for LMP1. You can see Jeremy Burris and David Serrois. Burris has closed the gap between Serrois. I'm not sure if that was due to traffic. They are starting to... traffic has been fairly light for these guys since we've restarted green flag racing. But
looks like they've reeled in Mike Kelly, too, to make this a three-way battle.
You're right.
For fourth place. And what could be effectively the race lead, because the top three drivers are out there with one less pit stop, so... see this plays out. Oh, could Jeremy have... No. Jeremy again. Like I say, that is a very, very tough place to pass, and I expect if Jeremy's going to make the move there, he's going to be well ahead of David by the corner. Let's take a look to see how Jeremy, if we can go stay on board with this for a few seconds here, how he's able to drive the course behind David, but as well with a couple of slower cars up ahead, how he's able to plan the traffic to see if he's able to make a move. Because we got Mike looking at the outside, then back to the inside. Jeremy's able to stick to his normal line, and while he didn't gain a lot there, that's a good way to make up time, is let the other guys in front find a way to get by, and then just figure out what they're going to do and follow them through.
And Serrois thought about making a pass on the inside of Kelly there, didn't quite have it, but you can see Kelly got held up.
At the exit of the boot.
Yeah,
that's a tough place to go.
And Burris probably getting held up a little bit, just wanting to make sure that he was able to get by that Ford GT. But you can see these three guys have gotten spaced out now. But you could
a little bit of curve, almost put him into the left wall.
And almost stuffing it into that wall, like you said, yeah. But you can see how just one traffic, I believe it was Matthew Voigt in the Ford GT. There was just one car, but it got these guys nose to tail, and now they're spread out again. So it's very interesting to see how traffic can play a part in these guys' battle. And it looks like Mike Kelly's going to catch, I believe. I couldn't catch who that was, but we're going to switch over now to Brian Carey as we look at, I believe that's the class leader for GT2. And this is Jerry Moorsdorf. Got it wrong in the bus stop, and Brian Carey's going to take the position from him for, I believe, second. Well, no, he hasn't taken it yet. He's still taking what? Wow. That's quite impressive for Jerry to hold him off right there. This is the battle for second place.
Yeah, when you get into situations like that, you end up, that's more of an avoidance maneuver than anything else in an attempt to pass.
Moorsdorf able to keep it together, and I guess the inside line was all it took for him to maintain that position in second.
Yep, and Carey had to get off the throttle a little bit to make sure that he didn't run into the back of Jerry. So that really allowed Carey to catch right back up to him, though. As you can see, they make that pass on that Corvette on the outside. Oh, and wow, that was a great pass by Carey. Just kind of, I'm not sure if he took advantage of traffic there, or if Moorsdorf was a little loose coming out of 9.
Right. No, he was really wide. He was outside the edge of the track there, so Looks like Kerry took that position, but Jerry looks like he's got a little bit more speed here, so let's see if he can take it back.
And the Corvette, it looks like that is Colin McLean there, holding them up through turn 1.
Yeah, Colin does have some damage on the right front, it looks like. I saw the right front fender bent in a little bit there.
Horsdorf with a nice run through the S's on Kerry. He's going to the outside, though, which is going to give Kerry the advantage as they head into the bus stop. And here we have Mike Kelly, David Sawat, and Jeremy Burris all coming right up to the bus stop. Almost a move there from Jeremy, but once again, on the outside, there wasn't much of a place for him to go.
Yeah, once again, Burris was caught. He got alongside Sirwa, but it was on the wrong side, so unfortunately. Oh, and this looks like that is Jerry Morsdorf. Somehow he managed to get by Kerry again, and we missed that, but good
well, he
job.
had speed down the front, so
yes, you're right. Yep.
Checking down the telemetry there, Brian Kerry's speed is way down after that earlier incident, so he's fortunately very easy pickings for some of these faster cars going down into the faster sections here.
Yep, you're right.
And Gilles Moret with his sort of riding the brakes there to indicate that the LMPs should head by. And there we have Mike Kelly, David Sawat, Jeremy Burris heading flat through the left-hander, tracking out and then setting up for the last turn onto the front straight. And Gilles Moret in the Corvette up ahead. Mike Kelly getting by him, but it's not clear that David Sawat and Jeremy Burris will be able to before turn 1.
Sirwa was able to. Oh, and great move by Gilles Moret there to go.
Well, Sawat made the buy, but it cost him some time. And
definitely.
yes, and Burris looking to go side by side through the S's. He is up alongside. On the inside this time, headed towards the bus stop.
See if Burris can do it. He's been waiting for a long time to have this opportunity.
I think he's got it. Oh, yes. Sawat just giving it to him at the entrance to the bus stop.
Now, I mean, you talk about earning a pass, and then you talk about what Jeremy has done there. That's almost an hour of racing he's been waiting to do that one.
Yeah, and that's a great example of patience during a long endurance race. Wow,
almost an accident there, right there, but fortunately,
little miscommunication. Remember, this is we're looking at the class leader of Brent Bryles in the LMP class.
Yeah, it looks like Chuck Chambliss took his lap back.
Yeah, I was just about to point that out. Yeah, that was not for position. He was fighting to effectively get on the lead lap. So hopefully, now he has to battle all the way around the track. As we can see, Brian Kerry still trying to get around Jerry Morsdorf for second place in class. So, but Chambliss is going to have to battle his way all around, or hope that another safety car period comes back out and he'll be able to drive back around.
Now, that's another thing too, is it makes it very difficult. Class by class going through a corner, very hard. Class with another class, extremely hard. 3 classes of cars going through the same corner, very happy they all got out alive, because that was that doesn't normally always end that way.
Yep. And I think we've seen that in this race already with the 3 safety car periods that we've had. It's just seeing signs that, like you said, you're very lucky to get by a situation like that without any damage, or any contact rather. And sometimes as we've seen in this race, it doesn't always turn out the way it did.
Okay, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th in the LMP are all nose to tail right now. Mike and Jeremy have caught up again with Brian and Jerry, and David Sirwa has dropped a little bit back from Jeremy. He's 4 seconds back from Jeremy at the moment, but no doubt he will catch back up very quickly.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was due to traffic or if Burris really had that move. When Burris goes off on the coming out of turn 7, that's going to cost him some speed going on into the turn 8. But can't imagine that Jeremy was that much faster than Sirwa, and I'm just wondering if he got held up behind traffic somewhere, and that's caused that pretty hefty gap.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to believe that David loses time for any other reason than other cars, but it's possible he made a mistake somewhere, who knows?
That's true.
That was Jerry getting cut up badly by the Corvette there, and it looks like Brian has got by a game.
Morsdorf just misjudging that traffic there and not having the momentum through the turn. Carey didn't have that problem, was able to take full speed through the turn, and he brought it right onto the straight with him. And Mike Kelly also getting by Morsdorf, and
Well, Burris able to do it. He's going to be on the outside, so it's going to be tough for him to get by, but he does have the draft ability to draft with Mike Kelly going into it.
He's holding wide.
Yep. So Burris not able to get around and take advantage of that traffic miscommunication with Morsdorf, but Morsdorf losing 2 positions. And also remember that he still has to make another pit stop. These guys that he's battling with are 1 ahead, so...
Yeah, but judging by the time left, on green flag conditions, the LMPs can run for at least 35 minutes, if not a lot longer. So if they can make it for another couple minutes, another couple laps, then they are all guaranteed to get to the end of the race. Assuming they can finish. There's other factors involved, but fuel-wise.
And so this is David Serrois. He's caught back up with Jeremy Burris, and this is currently the battle for 5th place. Oh, and we're looking at Lance Snyder there, who is slow. Remember, he had that incident earlier on a restart. And we're watching class leader Brent Briles, and this is Brian Carey right behind him, and we saw him get by Jerry Morsdorf for 2nd, and now he's got 1st place back in his sight, and he wants it back.
That was a great illustration right there of the road top end of the LMP. You could see that there was a GT car that Brian Carey was pulling up alongside of. And he got by, but you could see that the difference in speed was just decreasing and decreasing closer they got to turn 1.
Looks like Jeremy's going to make another attempt at Jerry here going into the bus stop. I'm not sure if he has the run or not. I think he'll probably back out of this one, but no, he's looking like he's he is caught a little bit of aggressiveness going through here. He wants to go to the front right away.
And Brian
after
Carey
having waited for an hour
through,
and 5 minutes.
So Jerry Morsdorf actually not in the shot anymore. And let's just quickly take a look. I don't see him dropping down too rapidly, so he's still running, but lost a lot.
Yeah, I think he caught that one up pretty good. It was just he had to give way, go over the grass a little bit to make sure that those guys didn't come together.
Yep, so unfortunately, Jerry Morsdorf running in 2nd once we had that restart. Now he's dropped to 6th. So I think he's kind of got the bad end of some passes recently, but hopefully he can battle his way back up to the front.
Yeah, we've got just under 40 minutes left in this race. Jerry Morsdorf we're back on board with in 6th place behind David Serrois. Coming past, I believe that's Andy Gitterson in the number 13 Ford GT with a extremely bent rear wing. Jerry taking a look going down into turn 1, but probably not going to make it there, and we'll have to follow him through. It's a very interesting corner there because it drops off just before the apex, and you come flying downhill and back up the hill again for the S's as we're with Jeremy and Mike Kelly just ahead. Oh, it looks like he's got Mike picked. There's a Ford GT and Todd Carver. Will he be,
wow.
Sorry, Todd, that's Matthew Voigt. I apologize. And whoa, that was close. He's in 3rd place. Will he make it stick ahead of Mike Kelly? Wait to see. And yes, no, he has. He's pulled in front.
Being on board with Mike, well, this is not Mike Kelly, this is Jeremy Burris. But that was, I couldn't quite tell if it was 3 wide. It was almost 3 wide if it wasn't. That was probably a very scary moment for Matthew Voigt to see those LMPs go flying by him in the S's.
I'm fairly certain that was 3 wide right there, yes. And now,
okay, now we're on board with Mike Kelly. All right, well, he's just going to follow him through here. We're just going to take an opportunity now that things have settled down a little bit. We've still got Brent Briles as the leader, Brian Carey in 2nd place, Jeremy Burris, as you can see up ahead in 3rd place. Mike Kelly we're on board with right now is 4th. David Serrois is 5th in the CR6 Corvette. Don Hunter in the lead. Jill Moret in 2nd. Evgeny Guerin, Timothy Stahl, and Julio Palacio. I believe some pit stops have come into play there, as we can see Sean Cuthbertson in 6th place in the pits. Ford GT, we have Daniel Gralti as the leader, Trevor Hill, Matthew Voigt, Todd Carver, and Mike Young rounding out the top 5.
Hey, and great job by Daniel Gralti to pull back up into 1st, even if it is through pit stops. We know that he had that incident with Colin McLean in turn 1 fairly early in the race, and so that's really good that he's been able to recover from that incident and then able to pull it up, at least for right now, to lead the GT2 class.
And a note about Daniel, too, I'd just like to point out that Daniel is fairly recently engaged, and the fact that he's leading, I hear that being engaged adds about a second to your lap time, so again, well done for Daniel for doing that.
Well, yeah, any racing drivers will do anything to get that little bit of extra speed, so.
I was kind of implying more that it slows him down a little bit, but he's doing very well to overcome that. I'm going to stop talking about that because I might get myself into trouble with more than one significant other. All right, we got Brian Carey going down to the inside of it. Looks like, is that Ryan Huff? Yep, in the SRN Racing Team's Corvette. Jeremy Burris is coming up behind him, and we've got Brent Briles up in the lead.
Jeremy Burris has been on quite the charge recently as we go on board now with Burris. We've seen him fight his way. I think he started back around 5th or 6th after that last safety car period. Now he's battled his way back up to 3rd. He's got Brian Carey in his sights for 2nd. So Burris really has some great pace today. He definitely is a contender for the race lead, and hopefully it plays out well for him.
And speaking of the last caution period, that ended at about 1 hour, so we aren't quite within the pit window to make it to the end of the race, but we should expect to see that the LMPs will pit really whenever they feel like it. They've probably got plenty of fuel left, but might want to make that pit stop whenever it feels right in terms of the pace of the race.
Yep, and we can see on board now with Brian Carey. We saw on the back straight Jeremy Burris able to pull by Carey, and that's just a result of that damage that Carey's been riding with ever since the pretty much the start of this race. That top line, the LMP's top line speed has always been quite a bit lower than GT's, and now especially with that extra damage, it slows him down in his own class, and so you can see that the result of that right there, Burris able to pull up into 2nd.
Sorry if I went quiet there for a second. My monitor's virus software decided to update there for a moment. But although it looks like Brian Carey has gone back past Jeremy Burris to retake 2nd position, this is a quite an intense battle for the lead as Brent Briles is holding on by just a second over about 2 guys.
Yeah, he's letting them fight it out and have what happens happen. And we are now looking at teammates of Genny Garanin and Timothy Stoll, and they're running 2nd and 3rd at the moment.
I think Timothy Stoll's made his pit stops, so this isn't really for position. Hopefully Genny as a teammate will let him by. If not, then looks like Timothy is holding about, they're both about 17, 18 seconds behind Gilles Moret, who is the current class leader right now.
And then you can see the LMP class leaders coming through these guys as well. Looks like Brent able to get by Timothy. Oh no, that is Evgeny, pardon me. And he'll stay wide to allow all those LMPs to get through as we go on board now with Jeremy Burris. And you can see Brian in that great move to get by Burris in turn 9. He's going to try to fight his way back up into 2nd. And these guys have now managed to close the gap that there was between them and the class leader, Brent Briles. Looks like Mike Kelly is also caught right up with these guys.
And David Swa is also not too far behind.
As we're coming up to the 40 minute mark, 40 lap mark of the race here, we have traveled quite some distance already. We're up over the 200 kilometer mark in the race, which is far longer than we are for most of our GTC races. So little things that you normally wouldn't think about in a shorter race, like fuel mileage. Oh, Brian Carey into the pits. So as I mentioned before, it was about the 35-minute mark that you're looking for to make sure you get to the end of the race, and Brian Carey is well past that, so he should make it to the end no problem. I'm guessing Brent Briles and Jerry Morsdorf will be the next to follow in with the group of Jeremy Burris, Mike Kelly, David Serrois, and the rest of them following in sometime later. Whether they can make it to the end without a stop is not known yet, but it would take a lot more yellow for that to be possible, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we are at the point now where basically if we're racing a normal GTC race. The race would be just finishing up. So there's still, another half an hour or so that these guys have to go. Sometimes you can lose a little bit of your concentration here, so you might want to make sure that you're staying extra focused, especially since if you're used to racing, an hour, a little bit over an hour, if your concentration level falls, you could make a mistake that you wouldn't normally make. So you want to make sure that your concentration level stays high.
Yeah, I find that partway through a long race, you can almost get into a lull. Unfortunately and fortunately for this race, I don't think that's an issue just because of the amount of action we've seen this whole race. But a lot of times, especially get into a long race and you're not in multi-class racing in particular, you could be not seeing anyone for almost the entire race. So when you do, it becomes difficult. This race, in their hand, you have action pretty much every lap, and Brett Briles is into the pits.
And Mike Kelly has a run on Jeremy Boris heading down the front straight. It doesn't look like he's going to try to make a move, though.
Nope, didn't quite have the speed. There's still a half hour left. He's got time, so that was a good judgment call for Kelly. Looking at David Serwa now, he's catching up right on to the back of Kelly. We know that he's he fell back off the pace a little bit for a while and kind of just, I'm not sure if he was, I don't think he was conserving fuel, but he's definitely picked up the pace. He's in third and he's looking to challenge for second.
And Mike going side by side there, down the chute, making the pass on the outside, 3 wide.
Yep, Birds got held up a little bit by that Ford GT of James Cullen, and that allowed Kelly to get by. That was a great move, taking advantage of the traffic.
That actually started in the outer loop. It looked like Jeremy had just got off the apex enough, and Mike was able to make a huge run down the inside and get a run on them, then use the pick of the Ford GT and to make the pass. That was some good. That was just good play and racing right there by Mike Kelly.
Yep.
Not good play and racing. Good racing. Plain good racing, if I was speaking correctly.
So that elevates Mike Kelly up into the first spot. Still has to make his pit stop, though, so we're going to have to see how things shake out once he exits the pits. And he heads around for another lap. Boris follows. Swa.
It looks like we do have a yellow flag, or?
Let's see. I didn't see, but I think you might be right.
Yeah, these guys look off pace.
Sorry for a shock about yellow flags, but unfortunately we can't see the scoring monitor from our booth here. But yeah, no, it looks like we have a yellow flag situation. We're just pace cars up ahead. Gonna let the Ford GT by and let Mike Kelly pick up the pace car.
And once again, we will jump ahead and let you rejoin as we get closer to racing. All right, 29:40 on the clock. I'll be back.
All right.
Yeah, I had no business being up front there.
Oh, in the what we were just looking at.
Yeah, I almost had Brent for the lead. I was like, you know what? I was like, that would take a crazy pass, and luckily I pitted and dropped back, and hopefully they don't show me too much in this last half here because I would like to forget it. Hey, your voice is holding up pretty good.
Yeah, I've gone through a full cup of that tea, and I've drank about another half of a pretty large cup, so I can kind of feel it. I'm glad we're getting towards the end because I can kind of feel it starting to get all dry. So
yeah, don't move. Well, yeah, I wasn't really aware.
And we're back, heading around through the boot, getting ready to go back to green. And cars have made their final pit stops. So the way it shook out in LMP, right now we have Brent Briles leading, Jerry Morrisdorf second, Brian Carey, then Mike Kelly and Jeremy Boris. In GT1 we have Timothy Stoll, Don Hunter, Sean Cuthbertson, Julio Palacio, and Gilles Moret. And in GT2 we have Todd Carver leading, followed by Daniel Gralti, Trevor Hill, Matthew Voigt, and Mike Young.
And with 24 minutes left on the clock, this is going to start turning more into a sprint race than an endurance race for these guys. Not a whole lot of time left for them to make their passes, so we should be seeing some great action as they get ready to take the green flag.
And guys are getting on the gas now. Quaroni getting on the gas a little bit before Sirois and getting a good run down the front straight, but Sirois, well, actually, yeah, Sirois getting ahead, but traffic, oh, well, we won't see what happened there, but traffic playing a part there. I'm not sure what was going to end up happening. Don Hunter, though, catching up with Timothy Stoll, and this is going to, he's alongside. Can he do it? Can he make the pass for first?
I think he's going to.
Well, he's on the inside, but...
Oh, wow.
He went for the cautious approach and did not take it.
Yeah, Timothy got really loose coming off turn 1 there, but I don't think Don was in a position to capitalize. We got a car spinning through the bus stop chicane. I'd say a Corvette. Looks like one of the SRN cars. I couldn't quite make out.
Oh,
it's Colin McLean.
Yep, Colin McLean. Yep.
Colin McLean and Todd Carver there in the Ford GT.
Also off-roading it, yeah. Lifting the back end off, but keeping it under control. And Todd Carver currently leading, but with Trevor Hill right behind him in second. Trevor Hill looks like he's going to make the pass there, too wide. Side by side, Trevor Hill's by, and Daniel Gralti in third. Also looking to get by, and it looks like he's done it.
Todd Carver may try and battle back going down into turn 8, but Daniel's going to have
Gralti's
the inside.
Ahead and on the inside, so I don't think anything's going to happen from that. Yep.
Yep. And Gralti will complete the pass in turn 8.
Well, this is fun to watch.
Oh! Carver almost lost it, but managed to retain control, but it looks like Voigt's Voigt's on the outside, Carver just ahead on the inside, and retains his third position. Carver going from first to third there in just one lap.
Looks like Brian Carey has succumbed to the Mike Kelly and Jeremy Burris freight train, and now it looks like Jeremy going on the inside of Mike Kelly, not going to make it, but they are running down the Whoop-Ass Racing team, Brent Briles and Jerry Morsdorf there in second pretty quickly.
Yep, well, we know Burris has had the pace all race, and he's never quite been in the right spot at the right time. We saw him, it took almost him an hour to get by David Sirois, who's now currently in 6th. So we'll have to see if Burris is able to pull back up. There's quite a few cars for him to get by and some tough racing for him to do in 21 minutes left.
Jeremy Burris there just taking a couple peeks to look and see what the situation is up ahead. Not really looking to make a move there. And we're back in the battle with GT2 with Trevor Hill still leading Daniel Gralti, but only by a hair as they head through the heel of the boot. Oh, I'm sorry. Now they're heading for the heel of the boot.
It's part of the boot, the heel, the toe, whatever. But yes, turn 8 they're coming up to is actually technically the heel. The other part there was the toe that they're going through.
And David Sirois looking on the inside of Brian Carey, making it look pretty easy there.
Yeah, well, we know Carey's been fighting that damage for the most of the race, and I think that by this time he knows most of these guys are faster than him, so he's not really fighting to stay in front of them too hard. Looks like Quaroni is not too far behind him. I don't think he'll go... Well, he's got a great run going on the straight. We know Carey's suffering from straight line speed due to that damage, and Quaroni's going to drive by going into the bus stop.
Yeah, between Carey's damage and Quaroni's medium downforce, that was fairly easy on the straight. And now, side by side, Mike Kelly and Jerry Morsdorf, and that's going to bring Mike just right up behind Brent Briles. And it looks like Jeremy Burris is also going side by side with Morsdorf.
Yeah, Mike can smell blood right now. He knows he's got a little bit of pace on Brent, and I don't think it's going to be very long before we see Mike make a run at the lead here.
Burris and Morsdorf still side by side, heading down into turn 8, and Burris ahead but outside. Morsdorf giving him enough room, and that's going to give Burris the pass. And so that brings Jeremy Burris up to third position at the moment.
Looks like Sirois got past Morsdorf too, because Jerry ran really wide coming onto the out of the boot there.
I think he lost the tail of that car a little bit too going out of turn 9, so...
Chuck Chambliss just splitting the top 2 in GT2, but it doesn't look like it really had any impact on their race, as we still have Hill ahead of Carver.
Yeah, Chuck Chambliss has been up against him since having that throttle issue early in the race, and actually lost his lap again.
Gralty got by Trevor Hill at some point there. Must have been while we were watching the Morsdorf-Burris battle. And we're on board now with Mike Kelly running in second behind Brent Briles. Into the bus stop, Mike's got the speed. Can he bring it on the exit though?
Brent is fighting with everything he has right now. He knows this is for the race win. He knows he wants a result. At the same time, he knows he has to get to the finish, so he's going to have to fight that line, and Mike is all over him right now, hoping to force him into a mistake.
And with 18 minutes to go, that gives Mike plenty of opportunity to force either a mistake or a pass somewhere. Briles getting a little bit loose on the exit through the toe, and it's not going to be enough for Kelly to do anything with that. Mike Kelly taking a slightly compromised line there to keep on the inside. And looking on the inside, quick switch of the track sides, and Mike Kelly gets by Brent Briles.
Yeah, that was I think that was a good little trick he used. He stayed on the inside going into turn 8, and then going into the entrance of turn 9 before he made that nice little crossover move. I think he just tried to maybe make Brent think he was going to stay on the outside for turn 9 and then dove in on the inside under braking. So that was a great move. And it looks like this is David Serrois battling with Jeremy Burris. This is for 3rd place. David trying to get his position back that Burris has been able to hold from him for a good 30 minutes or so.
And there are a couple GTs up ahead as they approach the bus stop. So I don't think that anything's going to happen there. We've got Todd Carver right on the heels of Trevor Hill. And the lead that Daniel Gralty has opened up is just widening as these two battle it out. So you mentioned that it was very good of Daniel Gralty to be able to bring it back towards the front after that incident with McLean. And now here he is up taking the lead.
Yeah, most definitely. We know that he's a strong driver from the previous races we've seen him in, and this is showing now. And this is the battle with Jeremy Burris and Brent Briles for 2nd place. We can see Mike Kelly up there leading. He's been able to put a little bit of distance between himself and Briles, and Burris looking to take the 2nd spot from Briles.
We lost Jeremy there for a second. Hopefully we can get him back, but we're back on board with Todd Carver trying to fight with Trevor Hill for 2nd place in the 4 GTs.
Looks like Carver has some speed. No, didn't quite have it going into the bus stop, but he looked like he had the speed. Part of that is, I'm sure, because of the draft that these cars get, and he's going to be right on the tail of Hill going into the carousel.
And there he's got the better exit speed. He's on the outside, though, so side by side we'll have to see who can outbrake who. And no big surprise. Oh, Carver just keeping it together as he goes on the outside. And now back to Brent Briles and David Serrois.
And just noticing here, unfortunately, it looks like that Jeremy Burris has disappeared. He's lost connection. Heartbreaking for Burris. He was running great, had a chance at the win here, coming off a 2nd place at Suzuka. It's going to be a tough one to take for Jeremy.
Yeah.
Yeah, equipment failure for Burris. He's had a lot of problems all season with his equipment, and finally decided to do something about it, and hopefully he'll be in better shape for the future races.
So after Burris's equipment failure, we're looking at 2nd and 3rd place right here. Brent Briles is currently holding 2nd with David Serrois just behind him, looking to make that pass. Mike Kelly is still your race leader, a good 4 seconds ahead of those guys.
So Mike Kelly obviously being held up quite a bit as he looked for a way past Briles. And back to Trevor Hill and Todd Carver as our race leader, Mike Kelly, goes around the outside, then inside. Gets held up, though, going through the S's.
Yeah, I don't think Hill was expecting that.
That could have ended in tears for all three of those guys, all fighting for top positions in their class.
Well, that's right. And Hill and Carver, since they're fighting for first and second, not too anxious to give any room at all through the S's.
So David Serwa has got past Brent Biles. He's in second place. There is a lot going on right here. It's kind of hard to make sense of it. This could be changing a lot. It's a very fluid situation. Now we've got Ford GTs, we've got Corvettes, we've got LMPs. We've got them all running together. Second and third in both LMPs and Ford GTs. So it's going to be a tight one right here.
Yep, and David Serwa going to be trying to get past both of Trevor Hill and Todd Carver. Brent Biles trying his best to follow. It looks like he's going to be able to get past Trevor Hill under braking without affecting him at all.
Through all this traffic, we've got Daniel Quaroni and Brian Carey now in fourth and fifth.
Quaroni getting held up by that Corvette, rather. And that allows... I was going to say that was going to allow Brian Carey to get by, but he gets held up, and I think he makes contact with Todd Carver in the Ford GT. And that looks like Jerry Morsdorf now getting into the battle. And looks like Jerry is going to have an opportunity, although Carey on the inside defending is going to take that from him. But see if Morsdorf can't take the opportunity to get by him as we go on board now. See if his straight line speed, if he can get to him before the bus stop.
Well, it looks like Carey got a little bit held up in the S's, but then the Corvette's going to pull way out.
So he's side by side right now. I don't think he's going to have it because he's on the outside. Oh, wow, he does.
That was Julio Blasio in the Corvette there. He's running up in fifth place in the Corvettes, obviously. He's in the Corvette, and he's in fifth place in the Corvette.
Well, that was a great move by Morsdorf there to get by Carey on the outside going into the bus stop. We've seen guys try and make passes on the inside and struggle to do so, and to make a pass on the outside, that's great. We know Carey is suffering from that damage as we go on board with Carey right now, so I'm sure that did play a factor into it, but still, good job by Morsdorf to be able to make the pass.
I'm also sure the unfortunate contact with Todd Carver didn't help his straight line speed there.
I'm actually surprised there's still a nose on that car.
Well, it was pretty light contact, but it did upset Carver a little bit. But it does look like Morsdorf is widening the gap here, so as you said, I think that the straight line speed is definitely hurting him.
All right, well, we're coming up on we're 10 minutes and 50 seconds left of this race. Going to do a quick run through of the top five for each class as we come down to the sharp end of this. It's Mike Kelly and LMP leading David Serwa by 4 seconds. Brent Biles, Daniel Quaroni, and Jerry Morsdorf now in fifth place. In the CR6 Corvette, we have Timothy Stahl in first place. Don Hunter about 3 seconds behind, with Sean Cuthbertson, Gilles Moret, and Julio Palacio rounding out the top five there. Daniel Giralti with a 4-second lead over Trevor Hill. Todd Carver in third place, Matthew Voigt fourth, and Mike Young in fifth place.
So we can see the cars are a bit more spread out now as we get towards the final stages of this race. But for GT2, the battle for second place is still going on. Todd Carver trying to work his way back up to Trevor Hill. You know, Carver's been there quite a few times. We can see he closes the gap quite a bit with Hill under braking into turn 6. So we'll see if he can catch up to him in these final 9 minutes.
And with 9 minutes to go, let's quickly take a moment to thank our sponsor, Z1 SimWheel, for providing an LCD display box to the winner of the Clean Driver Challenge. That is the driver who does the most races without incident at all will win one of those. In addition to that product, they also make a full range of sim wheels, so check them out. They're customizable and can do anything from the very basic to F1 cars or a proper wheel for these LMPs. So check it out at z1simwheel.com.
And you just mentioned the clean driver challenge. I'm not sure if anyone's going to come out of this race with a point for that challenge that we have. This has been quite an intense race with some bumping and banging between these guys. So it's definitely been exciting to watch, so that's for sure.
I'm just checking our marshal sheet here, and it looks like David Serrois up in second place in the LMPs has seemed to come through this race pretty much unscathed to this point, so hopefully he can hold on to it for the remaining 8 minutes here and pick up a point for that Z1 Sim Wheel promotion.
Well, we're still looking at the battle for second place in GT2. Todd Carver has managed to close the remaining gap between himself and Trevor Hill. He just needs to be able to find the opportunity to find his way past. It looks like Carver's suffering from some damage on the front of his Ford GT. It looks like the nose is bent in a little bit, so I'm sure that is affecting his driving. But he still has some great pace, and these guys are giving us a great battle to watch.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't seem to be affecting his cornering ability at all, because he's definitely looking not only quicker than Trevor Hill, but also more under control.
Yeah, caught a little bit of curb there, which really unsettles the car going through those corners. So, especially these tight corners here, we want to get a good run off of any little bit of wheel spin, bump over the curbs, that sort of thing. We cut a lot of time, and there is Brian Carey in the LMP coming back around after having served a black flag for actually that incident with Todd Carver earlier.
And it looks like that's what it's going to take. I think that Hill got a little bit slowed up in the final corner and gets past Hill, but Hill going on the inside, but also going very, very wide. And that's going to let Todd Carver get back into second position. So, wow, that was some great trading right there.
You can see the racing wheels working in Trevor's mind there. He knew that Todd was probably a little bit faster than him based on qualifying times, and he knew that was going to be his only chance to get that place back, to take him back immediately, and it didn't quite work out. Luckily, they got through to both unscathed.
Wow. And that is, you can see Chuck Chambliss straight lining the bus stop. He's going to have to stop and give that time back to avoid a penalty. But Todd Carver overtaking, I believe that's Sean Cuthbertson in that number 3 Corvette. So I'm not sure if Sean is off pace or what the deal was, but they made that 3 wide going into the bus stop.
Now, for the lead here, it looks like David Serrois has slowly been inching away or picking away at that gap to Mike Kelly. He's got it under 2 seconds now, and we got about 5 minutes left, or 6 minutes left, sorry. See if he can pull that back.
Yeah, well, we know David is a very quick driver. I'm sure he's pretty much driving flat out now. These cars are probably close to getting empty on fuel, so they're going to be quite quick. They're going to be running about qualifying times when they don't get caught up with other GT cars. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to catch up and then pass Mike Kelly for first.
GT car there giving them way, seeing the battle for first and second, and not wanting to get into the way of that.
Yep, coming up in the 5-minute mark, that gives us about, I believe we're going to have about 3 laps after this with 5 minutes left.
And Serrois still holding about the same amount behind Mike Kelly.
That's one thing where the fuel strategy came into play. With all these yellow flags, it was really hard to figure out. All the pre-race testing is kind of for naught when figuring out fuel mileage. So if David had a little bit of advantage on fuel, or Mike for that matter had a little bit of advantage calculating the fuel a little bit better, a lighter car is a huge advantage in LMPs, considering how light they are to begin with.
And David Serrois getting caught up behind Mike Young going through the bus stop, and that's going to slow him down a lot. So the gap to Mike Kelly, although it looks like
this is Todd Carver.
And there was a Corvette catching the corner of Todd Carver's car. Looks like it didn't affect that Corvette too much. He kept on going. And Todd Carver
Todd
back
doesn't look
underway
in good
now.
shape.
No, and that was, remember he did get by for second place in GT2, so that's a shame that he's crashed out with just under 4 minutes left to go. So it's going to elevate Trevor Hill back up to second.
Yeah, good news for Todd, if it's good news, is that Jeff Smith in 6th place is 2 laps behind Todd Carver. So.
And it's a full course caution. Yellow flag has just been thrown, so everyone lining up now. And with 3.5 minutes to go, there's a good chance that that is how we're going to finish the race. I think we may get a, we may get one lap. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I don't think the pace car can get around the track that fast, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be it for everyone, which means that Mike Kelly really dodged a bullet with having to deal with David Serrois for the last couple laps. I think he had the speed to hold on to him. Fortunately for him, he probably won't have to find out, because that would have been a stressful one for him. If this is the case and if this holds, this will be Mike Kelly's first win of the season, which would break up the pecking order a little bit, because we've had Chris Damron and David Serrois and Mark Payne all with class victories so far this year. In the Corvettes, Timothy Stahl, surprise, he's in the lead of Corvette with Don Hunter and Sean Cuthbertson falling behind him. And the Ford GT, Daniel Gralti and Trevor Hill and Matthew Voigt in the top 3 positions there. So those could be your podiums if this thing doesn't go back to green.
Well, when I last mentioned the possibility, we had 3:30 on the clock, and we are down to 2:10 now, and just getting the field through the bus stop. And we have 2 more laps under yellow to go, so I think that's going to do it.
This has been a crazy race. I think this is the 5th full course caution of our race here. Just a lot of action, and like you say, you come to Watkins Glen coming from Suzuka with a lot of tight corners. Actually, Suzuka's not too tight, but I mean a lot of twisty bends, a lot of back and forth. Watkins Glen, not as much of that, so you'd think you'd find a little bit more space out there, but what you find is with these slower classes, actually in all the classes, they tend to keep on each other's tails a lot more. So when you do come across the slower classes, either in a pack with yourself or a pack of the slower class, really bunches things up. And a lot of these drivers, very, very skilled drivers in all classes, but it's the first time I've come across this, and unfortunately it caught a lot of people out today.
And I think there's another reason for that is because the barriers here at Watkins are so much closer to the track than they are at, say, a track like Suzuka. So if there is an incident like we saw that to bring out this last full course caution with Todd Carver, his car will bounce back out into the racing surface instead of just off into, say, a sand trap or something. So therefore he's blocking the road, which warrants a full course caution. So it's definitely a different track than we've really been to. In terms of, I guess, racing, the racing style. So it definitely provides... Gilles Moret having a... I'm not sure if it was a lapse in concentration or something, but luckily for him, there's only 23 seconds left in the race, so it shouldn't affect him. But this has definitely been a much different style of race to watch. It's been definitely enjoyable. We saw so many tight battles throughout this entire race.
Yeah, it was good to watch, and while we're mentioning that, the tracks that we race on next week, we'll be racing at Virginia International Raceways. You mentioned how close the barriers are to this track. There are parts in the track at Virginia International Raceway where you can't see the barriers. That's how far back they are away from the track, so it'll be a totally different animal, and the way accidents, hopefully no accidents, but if they do happen, typically happen well away from the track.
And out of time now, under the yellow flag.
So this will be it. We're still under yellow, so we're going to come across the line, and that will be the end of the race. So the position should hold. Again, just go to the top. We'll go top. I can see top 10 for each class here. We've got in the LMP, Mike Kelly, the leader and potential race winner if he can finish to the line here. David Serrois, Brent Briles, Daniel Coroni, Jerry Morsdorf. In the top 5, Brian Carey, Chuck Chambliss, Lance Snyder, Jeremy Burris holding on to that 9th place, 8 laps down, and 10th place, Ryan Corns. In the Corvettes, Timothy Stahl, another victory with a extended dominating lead in that series. Don Hunter, Sean Cuthbertson, Gilles Moret, and Julio Placio in the top 5, followed by Ryan Huff, Stephen Clark, Marty Jeffries, Colin McLean, and Evgeny Guerin rounding out the top 10. And then the Ford GT, newly engaged Daniel Gralti. I know it's been a couple weeks, but Trevor Hill, Matthew Voigt, Mike Young, Todd Carver in the top 5. Jeff Smith, Andy Gooderson, James Cullen, Troy Anderson, and Clark Reed rounding out the top 10.
And we'll just continue to follow the pace car around to finish this lap off and finish the race. And we'll see where that puts the point standings. Well, any reflections on how the race went?
Well, that was a fantastic race to watch. A lot of action. We hadn't seen before. Unfortunately, a lot of incidents in the race, but as far as close racing goes, I don't think we're going to see much better than that.
Yeah, this definitely made for an exciting race, like we said earlier, with the huge packs of, because everyone's so close here, we saw the huge packs of cars, and to watch how the faster classes would try and negotiate their ways through. And yeah, it caused some incidents, but it also made for some great action on the track. We saw some guys in, especially like LMP, like Brent Briles and Jerry Morsdorf, who maybe we don't always see leading up in front. It was good to see them get up in front. The cautions playing out in their favor. So definitely overall a great race to watch.
And we'll just run it back down. It looks like the pace car with Mike Kelly, we're coming out of, looks like they're in turn 10 right now, going to be heading through turn 11. We can't see them, but got a very, very happy Mike Kelly in that cockpit, I'm sure, taking home the first victory of the year in the top LMP class. Well deserved for him.
And watching as the cars head around onto the front straight to finish the race. And you can see there, it's official. Mike Kelly with a win, followed by David Sirah. And everyone's just tallying up real quick. So, as you said, David Sirah still leading. Mike Kelly, unfortunately, down in 9th, having a lot of trouble finishing races this season. So, although that win was a big points bonus for him, still way down in the standings. Mark Payne, who missed this race, didn't get too impacted because it counts as one of his drops. Timothy Stoll up to 163 points. Gilles Moret still trailing behind him, but in second. 36 down. Marty Jeffries, though, 63 down from Gilles. So Gilles fairly safe in second. Big news here still. The battle wages on. Todd Carver still in first in points, with James Cullen 4 points behind him, and Mike Young 38 down. Daniel Gralti with that win, 44 points down now, so hopefully more strong finishes there will turn into points for him.
And like I mentioned earlier, we'll be back next week at Virginia International Raceway. You can see on the calendar on January 30th is the race date. This will be out on video about a week after that. Phillip Island, Road America, and then on February 27th, mark your calendar, Lime Rock Park. That will be a show. 45 cars, multi-class, lap times in the LMPs. 38 seconds. That is faster than a lap around Indianapolis in the Indy cars.
Well, we don't know that for sure, though, because LMPs will be getting 200 pounds added to them for the Virginia race and throughout the season from there on. So,
well, that's right. That should add at least 2 to 3 seconds a lap on regular times, just based on the difference between full fuel and qualifying fuel here. It should be about that, but I think there might be other updates to the car. But it'll be quite the race at Virginia, as that update will come out about 3 hours before our race is scheduled to start.
So that should be exciting, so stay tuned. And here we have, is that Timothy Stoll? It is. He just decided to park it in the middle of the boot for some reason.
Oh, here we go. We're going to, hopefully a show is going to be put on here. Come on, Tim. There we go. That's Tim.
That's
Come on,
embarrassing.
man.
That's embarrassing.
And he's out of there. All right, well, thank you on behalf of ISRA League and everyone who races in it, and our league admins who work so hard to make it happen, and Z1 Simwheel. I'm Daniel Quaroni here with Anthony Muniz.
Thanks for having us, guys.
And Brian Carey.
Great race up in the booth, not so good in the track for me.
Thank you for watching, and have a good night.